Welcome to Balls and Brews, Pod 42, the Jackie Robinson Pod. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
That is tasty.
I mean, that is
Kinda hard to
100%
see.
a Belgian brew. If you've definitely seen this bottle around, it's Delirium. It's Noel, so it's the Christmas take on it, and you can see the elephant's got a little Santa hat
Yeah,
on.
it's hard to see. He's riding on his little sleigh with the Santa hat.
It's pretty
cool
sweet.
looking.
Yeah.
It's definitely Christmas-y, I would say. You know, with like how it, right? You get like little.
Well, it's Belgian. It's a
Right.
Belgian ale, and it's from Heiken, Belgium. We just looked that up again just to make sure we didn't sound like complete asses. Drinks it a 10-4, and for as balanced as it is, it's super malty.
Yes.
It's very malty, which is funny because it's kind of also
It is very malty.
right. It's got like the Bavarian style hops. That's the
Yes.
whole thing. That's the Belgian that like it either hits or misses for me. It's a very specific flavor, and when it's done right and it's balanced, it's nice. It's kind of easy drinking for 10 in the morning considering it's 10%.
Yes, it's pretty easy drinking.
But they're smart. The bottles are actually only 11.2%. They're not super big bottles actually. So just drink it slow and enjoy it, and So all right, this style of beer specifically brought up a question we were all talking about what's your favorite finger food to snack on, because you were eating a nice charcuterie board and
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie? Is that
It should be.
Cha?
I think it's charcuterie. Yep.
Cha-cha?
Yeah, we went to Whisker and Vine.
Okay.
Had a nice left-handed milk stout, 2 of those. Delicious beer.
Left hand's good brewery. Good call.
Definitely delicious. And then I had a charcuterie board, and I was like, man, you guys, I fucking love a charcuterie board. Like, you get the cheeses, you get the jams, you get bread, you get it all, and you just
Sometimes
kinda like,
nuts,
dude,
meats.
there were some great almonds and meat on this one.
I love some good nuts.
They were like honey roasted almonds, so they were like really tasty. I mean, the whole thing was just delicious. So I was like, oh, I love drinking and like going in and doing like an appetizer kind of thing. Me and my wife do that. We'll go do like one place, get like an app. And
In a bev. App and a bev.
Off in a bev. Move to another place. Maybe just get a bev there. Go to another place. Get an app and a bev. So like, what are your favorite apps to get when you go to like places? Is it based on a place, or are you looking always for like right around the same app?
I look for like a pairing. Like this beer would be great with that charcuterie board.
Yes.
It just goes with it. Normally though, anything salty or sweet with the beer, salt usually wins out most of the time.
Salt and
Whether
fat,
it's,
baby.
Some
Classic. Salt and
chips
fat.
and
Fried.
salsa.
No,
or something
you were at a
fried.
place called the Whispering Vine. Did you have any wine?
They did. I was driving. So
Copy.
I had.
Good
They
call.
did. They
Good
did.
man.
They
We're
did have
responsible
a-
on this pod.
They did have a great wine. They said it was Bonanza. All the other 3 people I were with liked it. So I only had 2 brewskis. Then we went to Kiel, and I didn't drive after that because after that I had a lot
Because
of
daddy
brewskis.
tied one on. It's
Had a
just
lot after
just
that.
kind of how it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Charcuterie board, dude, sign me up for meat and cheeses. That's why like nachos, are great when it comes to drinking.
Dude,
Chicken wings.
I mean, ballparks do it well. It's
Oh,
that kind
hell
of food
yeah.
with
That
beer.
garlic fry.
Oh, I
garlic
love
fry where
garlic
it's just,
fries.
they're buried under. You can't even see the fries. There's so much garlic and chive on top of it. Like, you have to eat it with a fork.
How do you feel about mozzarella sticks?
When they are made right and they are hot, they're delicious, but they cool off and the cheese coagulates so quickly sometimes. Like, it's hard to enjoy them over a period of time. If they're fresh out and they're hot and you can smack them,
Yes.
they are very good.
That's one of my favorite things to get. If we're like at a table and
Okay.
you're not like moving around, you're going to be sitting and eating.
Right.
Mozzarella sticks are definitely up there for one of my look
I'll
tos.
tell you, I've kind of come into a pot sticker phase.
Ooh, dude, that's a
Right?
good call.
Yeah, I it's not that I've not liked them, but for some reason I've really been enjoying them more recently. So pot stickers for a
Tide's
good
got-
app. Yeah.
Tide's got good pot stickers.
Dude, and they're big, bro.
Yeah.
They're the fucking prawns of pot stickers. It's fantastic.
What do you dip it in?
Oh, good question. Soy sauce, or they come with a really good hot mustard, or I don't mind sriracha, or I don't mind sweet and sour either.
I
I'm
like a sweet chili if they
There
have
you
it.
go.
I'm
See,
a sweet chili guy with my pot
any
stickers.
Asian influenced dipping sauce. Once again, it's just salt. It just adds that nice little pow. Whichever version of it, I'm good with it. I love like all Asian sauces pretty much, dude. I'm not huge on like oyster or like
fish sauce.
Fish sauce is okay. Fish sauce is just super salty, but it's the backbone. It's the backbone of a lot of good dishes. So yeah, so I mean, you definitely do adjust to it, but that motherfucker packs a hit. But yeah, you're not making fish sauce like with pot sticker, right?
Just
like,
soy.
Yeah, sure,
absolutely. You know what else was a fucking hit? Fucking last fucking Monday, man. Those games were fucking on fire, dude. Starting off Michigan, and actually before that, it was the Wisconsin game was hella good. Leading up to that,
that's true too,
dude. Wisconsin ended up losing to LSU. It was LSU Wisconsin. That game was hella good going in.
That's right, good call.
And then fucking Michigan and Washington Michigan and Bama wasn't like played great, but it was a great game because it went into overtime. But there's a lot of mistakes in that game, and it just
special teams bad.
Well, and then both offenses kind of looked inept at some points in time. Like
Michigan's absolutely.
Michigan's offense was. I don't know. I didn't agree with all the play calling. Like, why are we rolling JJ half the field? You take
immediately.
Yeah, and it wasn't like multiple. Like Chuck said, it was first like throw, dude.
His first handful of throws were just. I saw nothing in that game that made me think JJ McCarthy is a true first round draft pick quarterback.
Since you took it there, I agree. Like he should be no earlier than the second.
They didn't push the ball. They didn't push the ball once. I don't remember a single downfield throw of 20 plus yards. Do you?
Yeah, there was one or two. But
two. Okay, two.
But that's Michigan's offense also.
Okay, all right. But that's not the shit that translates. I know little West Coast this and that works, but the next level or the next step is like, it's okay, go ahead.
I think the combine is going to be huge for some of these guys.
It's huge. Yeah, no, it's specifically a quarterback. It's a massive deal these days.
JJ's arm strength is going to be tested. I've read a couple things that say that he's got one of the strongest arms coming out.
Really? Because he looks small. Is that weird?
He was slight. They say he is slight.
Slight. Good, another good word. All right.
I read something today since we're at a sidebar in this way. That somebody wrote that they're worried that Penix's medical history is going to come back real bad, and his knee is going to look real bad, and they're worried that might push. That's the reason. I was like, dude, the way he balled out, dude, he could be the fourth quarterback.
But see, to the media's point is, he's only been sacked 10 times this year. Yeah, he doesn't get hit. So going into the NFL, especially if you're a top-ish draft pick and you get set behind a terrible offensive line for your rookie and sophomore year, and he gets lit up 45, 50, 60. Russell Wilson got smoked 57 times and missed a couple of games last year.
I mean, that speaks to the scouts and evaluators. You shouldn't be drafting him if you have that kind of offensive line. He should be more valued on a team that has a decent offensive line. I don't
disagree with that, but sure. Some people will just force the issue if they think that we can make it work.
I would love if he was there at whatever we're going to finish at 15, 14 if we took him.
There's no way. Right now, he's pushed further than that. He's in the second round from what I've really been seeing.
Him and Bo Nix, which is crazy because I thought Bo plays really well the last couple of years. I know his Auburn years are kind of shaky, but dude, he
was electric at Oregon.
Dude, and he looked good the last couple, and he looked good. Even in those losses, he still played pretty well.
No, he dueled the Huskies very well, absolutely. I would draft him before McCarthy based off of just the eye test. Now, the combine, like you said, might make a big difference for guys like that. Measurables, like you said, showing off the arm. Now, the underwear Olympics, as it were. I love that nickname for it.
It does give guys a little bit, like if you run the West Coast, it does allow like teams to see
if you can show timing and accuracy in your throw day, even if those downfield ones, as long as they have some oomph, they'll forgive accuracy on the downfields. But if you can click in those slants and those little fades and outs that they want you to run over and over and over again, that's how you climb boards. And McCarthy looks like he might be able to do that. That's kind of what they honed him in for. I was going to go a la like, this is Brock Purdy where he does those things and then he does rip the cord every now and again. And the offset of that with also Christian McCaffrey.
He is a better athlete, though. He's a pretty good athlete. He runs
He's well wicked good athlete. They specifically run him, but they shouldn't. In the NFL, that shouldn't be. QB powers, even you, Josh Allen, I don't think that needs to be a part of.
I think it needs to be here and there because it's a pretty effective play.
It's worked out better for the Bills with their offense. I mean, that offense was struggling to run the ball, and then they incorporate Josh Moore into the run game, and it just opens it up. It makes it
but
more
you're
efficient.
putting your quarterback in clear and present
He's a
danger.
different kind of quarterback, though.
Sorry.
I mean, he is.
No, he's a fucking animal, dude. There's no doubt about that.
I completely understand that, though. I always worry about that with offenses like the Ravens and the Eagles using the quarterback as much as they do in the ground game. I think...
And Jalen in particular just gets mashed on those fucking...
short yard
yeah,
plays.
all the time. Like 40, 50 of them. He's doing like 2 or 3 a game where he's just getting beat on from behind and falling on dudes. And
Yeah.
that's a tough ask for sure.
You gotta... I think if you have one of those guys, though, you have to incorporate it in your offense and just not lean on it until you get to the playoffs, at least, if you have to. Just because at that it's all
I
or
don't
nothing.
disagree that it is a very nice wrinkle. It is a very cool thing to be able to have the threat of. Just even that alone changes the dynamic of what your offense can be.
That's hard to defend.
And then let's jump into the second game. Washington
Back to college
versus
football.
Texas. That game was fucking epic.
It shouldn't have been as close as it was at the end.
Yeah, Washington let him back in the game at the end, but Penix outdueled and showed the whole entire nation that he should be like easily maybe the third or fourth quarterback with those balls that he threw. That was some of the most accurate shit that we've seen all year. Those receivers also pointed out that there's at least 2 of them going in the first round. Polk probably go late first round.
Because
Doomsday is easily the third or second receiver
he
coming
went
off.
for 400 plus, didn't he? He went for like 420, didn't he?
Yeah,
I think so.
Penix.
Yeah.
Yeah, he threw
Shout
it.
out, brother.
Well, that was
One downside though for the Washington Huskies though, running back it got
Darn
hurt.
Jones.
Is
At the
he
end.
He is expected to play.
okay?
really
In what capacity, I do not know. They'll probably tape him up, dope him up, and say, look, bro, you get like 5 to 7 plays out there.
Well,
And if you don't even get through the first couple, they're going to try him because it's a national championship and he's carried us all fucking year and they want to make sure that he plays. And as long as he's not, but I don't know if they're not, he's not going to be the workhorse. There's no way. He's not getting 15, 20, 25 touches. Like even if Penix is having a cold night, we'll go down to the running back behind him because he just health in the overall. It's better to have somebody at 100%, right?
Well, yes, and again against Alabama, I mean, it wasn't really that effective. They really leaned on the passing game, and Penix, I mean, the way that he played, it made me think of C.J. Stroud last year, how he played. He was really good in their bowl game, and if he has another game like that this week, which I think he can, like Michigan's defense is really good, but I think they're still underrating Washington.
It's going to be Washington's offensive line that hasn't given up very many sacks against the Michigan front four that is very, very aggressive, and we watched them demolish the Alabama line for basically 3 quarters.
Chewed up Milroe for sure.
I mean, Milroe ended up getting a couple moves because that's what he is. He is just a super athlete, so he's going to get something, but that Michigan defense ate him
Also,
up.
we hopped in and we made this a 4-team part of the parlay this week, you guys. We sure
took
did.
UDub.
I threw it out there to the guys. Everyone was on the same side, so
Easy.
I'm like, we're putting it on.
It was easy.
So-
It was an easy take. Yeah.
So Monday night, Washington Huskies versus the Michigan Wolverines. The spread on that? What's that spread?
It's 4.5. But 60% of the money has been coming in on UW, so it wouldn't surprise me if it started to shift.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat this. I mean,
What's your guys' honest takes of what we're going to see in this game? Without your fandom, Charles, what do you think we're actually
I
going to see?
understand.
try it.
I'm going last. I want you guys first.
Okay.
Yeah, no, drink up. and then you
Well,
let
I
me
think
know.
I think the games really come down to, like we just said, what does can Washington's defense stop Michigan's run game?
Question. Okay, here's how I want to do this. Give me a final score. Winner, final score, then detail. I want to know.
I think Washington. Well, I hope Washington
No,
wins.
what do you
28-24.
Okay.
But I think that big parts of it are going to be what's Washington's defense do against Michigan's run game,
Okay.
and what does Washington's offensive line do against Michigan's front four.
Sure. Of course.
Those are two of the biggest things. If Washington can't stop the run, fuck, that game is going to be they're not going to get very many possessions,
Right.
and that's going to affect whether they can get on a roll. And if they can't get on a roll, they're just going to keep running it down your throat, and it feels like you've heard people talk about when you can't stop the run and you are down 14, it feels like you're down fucking 30.
Absolutely.
Because you don't get very many possessions. So if Washington can't stop the run, bad news. And Washington's the offensive line. If Washington's offensive line can step up, dude, those receivers are going to get open, all three of them. So I'm hoping Washington 28-24.
So I got Washington 31, Michigan 28. I think Washington's defense, they're kind of bend but don't break. They'll give up some points, but when they need to step up, they do. And they have a couple pieces. Like, I was looking at
Trice.
They got, I think, I saw on CBS at least, that they think they might have more first-round guys than Michigan. And Michigan's supposed to have so many guys drafted this year.
If you want to go through it real quick, you could have the quarterback and 2 receivers, that's 3, and Trice is 4 with the left tackles 5.
Yes.
For Michigan, you have quarterback and then maybe a defensive lineman or offensive lineman, and I don't know about, because number 1, is he coming out? And I don't know how touted he is as a receiver. Is he coming out for Michigan?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And then I don't think they have a lot of pieces that work together, but I don't know if they have, like, I don't know, maybe one of their D linemen, but that's it.
Colorum's great, but he's a running back, so he's not going to get big.
He's second, third round.
Even.
And Chuck brought it up earlier in like our question segment, like multiple pods ago. The running back position has undelivered this year.
It does not bode well going into next year. They made this whole stink about how important the position is, and 3 guys had really good fucking seasons.
And I think
that's not good.
We'll see the repercussions
Absolutely,
of this draft a little bit.
100%. It's just going to landslide until they can find a way to, produce another, where if you can get a third of the team to have a cowbell back, then obviously teams will begin to care about running backs specifically. And it's not to say that the running back era has to be dead and over forever, but right now, which is crazy because I guess the thing is you can get talent. There's so many kids who are so good coming out of college that are sneaky, that can give you 3 to 5, 7 plays even, and those can be big impactful plays, and those will take away from the Adrian Peterson styles, the LaDainian Tomlinson styles, the volume carry guys, the Marshawn Lynch's. I need 25 touches to really impact the game.
Yeah, you got looking at like Josh Jacobs, who's hurt right now,
right?
Eric Henry, those are like the last of the bell cows. There's a couple, obviously CMC. But there's
just because he's so versatile, he's the one that's carrying the torch. That's the prototype.
But everybody else, but he's also catching balls. Jacob's pretty good pass
Look at his
catcher,
lineage, bro.
But
the McCaffrey family's a bunch of beasts.
There aren't a lot of like the Jacobs but even Jacobs had a down year this year.
Well, because
Derrick Henry had a down year here this year. Saquon. So
all of them were stands. Where all of them took. I'm not. We need money.
Year.
Shit.
So Trev, you got any more points on the Washington?
Sorry, that was a heavy sidebar.
No problem there. I just one last thing to add to that. I think Penix is that guy. I think he's gonna step up.
Hell yeah. And
he's gonna get it done. He's gonna be the difference in this game. He's gonna make those throws that are gonna show why he should be a first-round guy. That's what I think is going to happen.
Charlie Roscoe finished us off with the national title.
What they always say is you win from inside the pocket, right? Scrambling is great. Pocket awareness is awesome. Like, it's good to have those things. Do not get me wrong. But you win from inside the pocket. That is how football is built. You got a guy who, if you keep him upright, can make all the throws, all the reads. I want to manifest a 34-28 victory. So a 6-point victory because our offense was clicking. I thought we had a very good offensive game, obviously, against Texas. That Dylan Johnson injury at the end of the game to let them get the ball back and all of that was just absolute madness. But, like I spoke a little earlier, Dylan Johnson is supposed to play, but I guarantee it'll be like 10 plays or under across the game.
Shout out to your coach hire, too, man.
DeBoer's a beast,
great.
Dude. I got a little bit more insight about like his past and how he came up, and he had like 4 years in Division II where he was undefeated, and then he came up and like he was an assistant, and he's never not won like 700 or he's like .700 overall in his career. Like, he has a handful of losses. I don't know. I wonder how long he's gonna rock, because this guy's gonna be sought after, big time. If not even just this upcoming year, very, very shortly, the following year. And Washington is a very premier program, and if you come out and win a title with them, it's not just, and you're going to the Big Ten. Correct. So there's no real reason to think that there's a job that might be an upper echelon, unless there's one that's just stuck in his head.
Yeah, it would have to be that dream
right
job.
And you can't keep a guy from that, and I don't know if that's the case, if there's one of those out there, but I just hope he stays. I hope he really truly builds that program, because this year has been magical, and I hope it fucking pays off. We're right there, boys. I want this. This is it.
Yeah, though that's the other thing too. In a lot of predictions I've seen is a lot of the highly ranked teams. I think Washington's going to get hit the hardest with the players that they're losing.
Well, because
next season could be.
It's one of those where we lose not only the draft picks, but we also lose. We're senior laden. We're one of the only teams in the nation that has more seniors than freshmen and sophomores and juniors. We built that team, and this is the payoff, and this is true college football at work. This is normally how it went. You'd catch maybe one or two baller ass recruiting classes, you'd sit them down, they'd age up and they'd start winning more games, and then they can push, and then when they're all right around that senior level, right, you have all that experience. And especially when you're at a marquee program, a Florida State, I guess if you want to call Miami one, but they're not. But stuff like that. You build these programs, and we're not going to get that anymore. It's going to be free agency and madness and money. And the NIL, I don't want to shit on it, because it's a necessary step. But anyway, Washington's going to win this game. Yeah. I think I really do truly believe that. It is about the last point, is exactly what Downey touched on. The offensive line, keeping Penix upright. If that happens, Washington's a lock. If he's not struggling to throw, he can make all of them. If you get him off of his point and he's got to scramble, he's a lefty. So make him throw against his body is, I'm assuming, what they're preaching right now. Make him roll right and throw left. So we'll see. Fuck yeah, though. Monday's going to be great. Two of the best college football games, not only just of the CFP era, but just two of the best college football games I've watched in a long time.
Yeah,
especially back-to-back.
Throw that out. I thought I heard that this is the first time in the college football playoff that it's two undefeateds. Is that correct?
I don't know. I can't speak to that, but that is true in this matchup, which is pretty neat. There will be an undefeated champion, guaranteed.
I'd have to look. I don't know.
I don't know if that
was the Florida State when they because they lost to Oregon before they got there.
Yeah, I think it was. There's been an undefeated and a one loss. I don't know if there's been two undefeated.
What about the first one with Oregon and Ohio? Ohio State had a loss.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, we'll have to look into that. So let's jump into the NBA. NBA has been getting real going lately.
Good shout out, man.
I want to start with Wemby. So Wemby is on a minutes restriction. Checked himself for the game. But then I heard a report that the reason he's on a minute restriction, he's tweaked his ankle a bunch. He says he's not hurt, but they want to make sure that those ligaments aren't all stretched out, and that, because once they get stretched out, it's hard to get them back, and then that causes injuries after that. Dude, Wemby, if your ligaments are stretched, dude, just take the minute restriction, and because we want to see you forever. If they're stretched and you're just going to keep getting hurt, you're going to be the next big man that we don't ever get to see.
The Greg Oden.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that is the worry, especially with a big man, is that injury possibility. But he looked great against the Bucks. Man, the behind the back to the basket, god damn.
Dude, and that's why we got to see him healthy. If you really have ligaments that stretch, you're young right now, it might not really hurt. Those turn into more injuries.
So what do you do? You go put on some size?
Well, you got to let those ligaments kind of tighten.
You got to heal, right? But the toughest thing for a physique like that is spreading the muscle across the whole frame of the body. He is so fucking long. Trying to fill himself out. You need to strengthen it's the blessing and the curse. You're never gonna get to a LeBron style stature at 7'4".
No, we just gotta get you healthy. You gotta just get the strengths where you need.
You gotta thicken up. He's gotta thicken up. Get that boy eating and lifting. Shaq was a fucking heathen. He started out super athletic, though.
Yeah,
if you look back in his college days, he was like...
Even the Magic days.
Yeah, he was only like 220, 230 pounds. He's a relative... For 7'1", anyway, that's reasonable, you know? Like, obviously, he, at his highest weight, he was playing over like 3 bills at one point for the Lakers, but... He also was still putting up like 30 and 10. So what are you going to say to the guy? Like, Shaq, here's a cheeseburger. Good burger.
Well, talking about the Lakers, did you guys hear the Lakers and Darvin Ham are having some...
Are they beefing?
Well, yeah, the Lakers are saying that they don't like the rotation, or they don't like because...
Really? They're speaking out about actual coaching aspects.
He mixes it up too much. Yes, there's been... And then there's a disconnect, is what they said. A disconnect between the Lakers and Darvin Ham. You guys, what do you feel about that? Or do you guys hear anything about it?
I haven't heard anything about it, but it definitely the Lakers have had their issues.
Yes, they're are they game under 500?
Yeah,
now?
they're 10th in the West right now, as it were, of yesterday, and they're 3 games under 500, I believe.
Expected more with that roster, but yeah,
everybody was.
And they had the in-season tournament where they played great.
LeBron wins.
And
LeBron
now
hangs
it's
the
just...
banner. It's boo-boo. Hey, where's that motivation? Is this just this lull that, like, now once again, okay, so see, once again, the in-season tournament, woo, it happened already. We still have so much regular season basketball before the playoffs hit. We still have fucking 4 months of regular season ball.
Yeah, and it's just like, come on, like, dude, you guys did this last year. You fucked around, then had to make a playoff run.
Right.
And you had to play like you were in the playoffs a month before the season, or a month before the playoffs started, and then had 2 months of playoffs. So you got already 3 months of playoff play because you had to play so hard because you dicked around the first part of the season. Should have learned your lesson last year.
Exactly.
Let's continue the boo-boo talk with my Warriors.
Yeah, what's up with Kuminga coming out and blasting Kerr, saying he's lost all confidence in Kerr, that he's not going to help Kuminga's game. What's up with this fool? Is he talking out, or is Kerr really not?
I'm not sure. Like, I've wanted more from Kuminga. I've seen glimpses from Kuminga, but it doesn't seem to be working out for whatever reason. Chris Paul's injury isn't going to help. It's a good thing we got older and injured, so we could be even worse with missing Draymond Green.
Wiggins is like a ghost.
Wiggins has disappeared.
We called that a bad trade. Yeah, because look at what the franchise has done around him. They haven't put any juice into his stock. They simply said, thank you for that nice little run that you had when we won the finals, and now we're going this Chris Paul route. That's where you put your eggs.
Yeah, and it's, again, I said it seemed like the easy move, not the move that should be made.
It's that weird, stupid NBA move. It's that, like, fraternity style move that, like, people like it for the attitude or whatever. It's like bullshit. Find motherfuckers who play well together. I could care less if they like each other.
Yeah, and because of all this, coming into the season, I wasn't high on the Warriors going far in the playoffs, but I thought they were still a playoff team. But with everything that happened, it's like,
can't win the playoffs.
Here we go, lottery maybe. I mean, we're not that bad, not Piston bad.
Sure, no, my God.
But it's not coming together this year. My only solace is watching Curry.
Update on Draymond. Where he at?
He's returning to the team. He was away from the
team facility. He's allowed in the team facility,
and
right?
That's it right now. They haven't even said that he's got how many games left.
I bet you that's a very intelligent move, to be fair, on Draymond's part. As far as, like, I'm sure they told him that he would look a lot better if you we're not gonna make it a thing, but if you just do this will help a whole lot. And then he just kind of did in team facility for, what was that? That's been like 3 weeks now, a month ish.
Jeff, you know what's been really cool?
No Draymond?
We haven't heard about Draymond.
But no Draymond, right? I'll drink that.
I mean, he's probably still doing his pod, right?
Well, if I know, listen to that shit.
Hey,
any other NBA
we don't want to shit on,
Any other? Well, there's been a couple trades. The Knicks traded to the Raptors, and that seems like the OG
trade.
Seems like the Knicks. I mean, I loved RJ coming out because I'm more of a Duke guy, but RJ really hasn't kind of done much with the Knicks, and I think that the kid they got, that's going to help them.
Well, dude, and also that Quickly kid, that Quickly kid has a lot to offer. I think that Toronto is going to try to shape him into a number one. He's in the kind of same vein of, it's like a Maxey right now in Philadelphia. They have a very similar game. And I think that RJ Barrett is a weird roller coaster of a basketball player because he can light it up, but it's very minimal. He's not present enough.
Not
but
consistent.
There you go. Yeah. And Toronto's not to be on the radar just yet. Neither are the Knicks, to be fair. OG has come in and played well with the Knicks, and having Brunson and Julius Randle's kind of responded to this, bringing in another big man like that can help juice up the department. But I was higher on the Knicks coming into this season, and after watching some of their ball, that they're right where they're supposed to. They're just kind of mushy middle. Same with the goddamn Bulls. Like, that roster should be better. DeRozan, Caruso, Levine, that team should be better.
Come on, Caruso, come back to LA, please.
Yeah, and the trade market is open, obviously, as we've touched on the one right there.
I will give you.
And then Milwaukee continues to cook. They're out there doing their thing. And I was gonna talk about Jokic just absolutely burying that fucking three.
Jokic
to take that game. That's ice in his veins. Ice.
Jokic is just so fun to watch.
I love that. That just puts heat on that rivalry right there. Like we need to see more of that come playoff time or come down the stretch of the season. Like, I love it when you can build that tension. Oh, sorry, T's and P's. That tension, mid-season, right? Or there's a little bit left over from last season's playoffs or something like that.
The fucking Paper Clippers are playing pretty good too.
The Paper Clippers. I don't know if I've ever heard
like
that one, to be fair. Yeah, they are 9 games above 500, y'all. They are doing the damn thing.
Dude, they're rolling like a couple nights ago. Paul George and Kawhi each went for like 30. Russell had like double digits.
And
Harden
Harden's
had
there.
like 20 points. It was like,
if that's 10 years ago, that might be the greatest staff ever assembled. That lineup is bananas.
I really wish Paul George would have came to the Lakers. Fuck.
Looking back on one of the worst things the NBA ever did was that they I can't.
Chris Paul trade years ago.
Which is the most asinine thing I've ever heard, because it wasn't even the craziest of trades.
It literally was just going to transfer power from Kobe to Chris Paul into the next thing, and then they were like, we're not going to let that happen. We don't want Chris Paul in.
That's trash.
To take over the Lakers, and then him and Powell can play for a couple years, and the Lakers will still be good. And then you get the next. They were like, that's what they were like. No fucking way.
No fucking way. That's so bad. The NBA should not be able to step in if two
they
privately
own the fucking team.
I understand that, but if they're technically, I guess that's true because they are.
But
the
they
umbrella.
didn't stop the trade. The trade literally stopped because fucking Stern was like, I don't like the Lakers.
The commissioner vetoed it. Yeah, fuck that guy. David Stern. I know he's dead, but
I don't like the Lakers. And I really don't like the Supersonics either.
That was a dumb veto.
It just makes no sense, especially post that trade. The trades were way crazier, even still while he was the commissioner.
It goes down as one of the biggest one-ifs of sports.
It has
history.
to. Why did that happen? This is a huge sidebar, but why did that fucking happen?
It's up there with the Dolphins signing Drew Brees and keeping Nick Saban. How that changes either the NFL landscape and the pro landscape. Those are two of the biggest what-ifs of all time in my book.
As not a Chris Paul supporter, I'm all for the NBA conspiracy against him.
I would say, honestly, in a way, Chris Paul is a shit-lister for me. He's a low-key shit-lister. He's not a high, but I can't stand. He bitches and moans, and he turns the ball over more than he should. A lot of people think he's a great point guard. I've never really thought he's that great.
I can't put him on the shit.
I'm shitting on him, though. I am. I'm sorry. You can outball me. I'll tell you.
Let's roll into some MLB talk. I would like to start off with just, before you guys talk about your trade, I'd like to start off with just the lack of free agency this year has been kind of disheartening in general. You just no news is bad news. You got nothing with Show. The Yamamoto stuff wasn't very hot.
Kind of came and went just because it just happened right off the back of Shohei. Had that happened isolated, I think it would have been a bigger deal, or to a different team. But it was Dodger.
Did you see
Dodger fatigue?
Did you see he came out and said that he was going to the Dodgers?
He was going to choose that regardless.
Whether Show signed it or not. So
why not? You can say that now.
Well, with that deal they gave him too, I mean,
fuck.
Yeah, right.
Other than Juan Soto getting moved to the Yankees, we really haven't seen Chris Sale traded to the Braves, which, they signed him to an extension the other day, and I was thinking...
Isn't he like 40 already?
Well, he's been hurt the last, 5... Dude, I love watching him pitch for the White Sox.
When he was a Whites, he threw a perfect game, didn't he?
It was so sick. He was his motion, everything, dude, was so nice to watch how his ball moved.
Oh, he ain't bad now.
And I saw the Braves to an extension. I was like, dude, the Braves have one of the best front offices. Maybe they know something. But, because, dude, they don't miss. Look at what the Braves have done, the last so many years, dude. They don't miss.
And on not, out overpaying. It's just within finding the right dudes.
Yeah, they have, hit on almost... I know they lost to the Phillies in the playoffs, but, dude, they hit on... Or whoever they lost to, Diamondbacks or Phillies. Dude, they've hit on almost every free agent move they've made.
Yeah, and baseball definitely has more of a lackluster offseason than the other sports with this kind of free agency.
Yeah, it just really fucking kind of puts a shadow on it, I guess. The shadow on the MLB. You're not in the news cycle. How much have we talked about the MLB lately? Nothing, because there's nothing been going. You got to keep yourself in the news cycle. Free agency's got to be hotter. Yeah, and then let's talk about your guys' trade. Why don't you guys?
One small, quick little one that just happened the other day between the Giants and the Mariners. We get Mitch Haniger back along with that right-hander. Who was he? I forget.
Robbie Ray.
We traded Robbie Ray out, to the Giants. There was a pitcher also that came in the Seattle package, but getting Haniger back could be helpful. He's a good bat.
I was surprised that Seattle didn't sign him last year or 2 years ago in free agency.
Well, 2 years ago, technically.
I kind of was like, man, he's kind of like a Seattle dude, and I didn't think he'd be very expensive, so that was kind of a surprise anyways. And then he didn't have a very good year for the Giants at all. So.
And let's be honest, Robbie Ray was not good in a Mariner uniform, really. He underperformed in key starts, key matchups.
Won a Cy Young, came over, and then did nothing.
Oh, he was the prize. He was the gem. He should be winning playoff games, not losing them, right? That's what you pay the guy for. That's specifically what they pay you for. Those wins during the regular season are great, but those starts and those postseasons, was our first postseason in fucking 21 years. And you gave up two dingers. You gave up 2 dingers in closing situations. Sorry, bro.
He's coming off of surgery, too. I think this is just the play that, pitching is so important in baseball. So you're hoping that, it's the long play where, he comes back this year. You hope he starts to get back to that form. But immediate success, I don't know.
That is the thing that baseball does better than any other sport is farm system. That's what they're built on more often than not. Obviously, you get your guys that then pop and then kind of become hot commodities, but a lot of these dudes are homegrown, built from AA, AAA, just grinding it out, playing baseball fucking everywhere. You got to give a shout out to those guys, man. That's a hell of a life. That's a lot like a G League guy in the NBA. And now they're doing, we saw, they anointed it. It's the joined football league. What did they call it? Did you see that? USFL. Is it still the USFL?
I think so. We went them and the XFL moved.
Yeah, combined, right. So there's only going to be one spring league instead of 2, which
is smart.
Yeah, you don't need competition from a market that's oversaturating a market that isn't already there really to begin with.
Sidebar. Quick. Because of that, they should have the same officials officiating both, so there's more of a full-time official. So
that wouldn't necessarily be the worst thing.
A little better.
It wouldn't be the worst thing. Golly, we've bitched about that. I think the last 3 pods about
not good,
not great, not good.
We're gonna take a break. We're gonna crush these.
Finish these 10 floors. Here's to you, Jackie. 42.
We'll be back with the Balls and Brews award segment. We're going to talk through our MVPs, our offensive rookie of the years, and we're going to anoint one person.
The big boys.
Every time.
We'll talk about the big stuff.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And then we might get into coaches, and then we're going to talk a common sense with conspiracy theories, and then we're going to get to our coach talk in the fandom.
Get you back.
Nice. After we struggled to get going, that was a nice first segment.
Yeah, I think so. It came on.
We had our middle part where Chuck's gonna have to. There's a lot of editing.
Start and middle will be fine. Yeah, no, but it'll actually be easy cuts because it's kind of defined. It'll be alright.
Okay.
Oh fuck. Okay. Now, second beer is a nice little easy drinker, right? It's just a little great white, isn't it?
Yeah, great white's like 4 something?
Yeah, I think
Bro, I'm feeling it. I didn't.
Eat a fucking world one.
I straight
about
up.
those, dude. I could get. Yeah, if you don't throw them out, I'm throwing them out for sure.
Okay, you gonna throw Will then?
I'll talk Will.
Okay.
I'll do Will.
So we got Jalen Carter, Kobe Turner, Will Anderson. There's nobody else really to talk about. Your guy got hurt. Brian Branch was so-so. Okay, and then offensive rookie of the year. I think there's only 2 names. CJ and Puka. CJ and
Stroud.
Puka.
Oh, dude, right. I like putting down Puka.
Dude, he deserves fucking. He's
Shout out,
had
for
such
sure.
a great fucking year.
Absolutely.
What him and Stafford and Cup can like combine to do, Cup staying healthy over the next some years with the new kid on the block, Kyron Williams, dude, they could be that could turn into a nice little fucking. You guys are in trouble, fuck. That could be turned into a nice little like tandem down there in LA. You know, they get that offensive line and get some more players going.
The Rams,
Yeah.
they're gonna eat a bag of dicks here very soon.
They're going to the playoffs, pal.
Big old bag of dicks.
For coach, I wrote down Stefanski and McVay, and then I wrote down Ryan from the Texans / Steichen from the Colts, and I said whoever wins that game should be in consideration too, and we won't know what one that is, and then we can talk through that.
I think D'Amico Ryan has done a better job than Shane Steichen with the roster overall, to be fair. But
He's
we'll talk
playing with
about
the
that.
back. Yeah, we can get into it. And then for defensive player of the year, I wrote Max Crosby and Myles Garrett.
Garrett is the consensus. I'm trying to think of other ones in the running this year, and I can't necessarily think of somebody who really outshone.
It's only Garrett and Crosby, and it really is. There hasn't been because Bosa's been down. Watt maybe could be in the conversation. There hasn't been an NFC guy that's like dominated. Parsons had like an okay year.
He didn't have
The
that he
Eagles-
was supposed to.
the Eagles-
Everybody was hot on.
Yeah, the Eagles haven't had a very. Montez Sweat maybe could be in the conversation, but he's played for 2 teams. Ready to go.
Montez Sweat has made a difference on the
He's played on 2 teams.
Right, but he deserves
two
he
teams
deserves
with
a
sacks.
shout out for the idea of balling at the highest level for 2 different teams in the same season. That's a fucking
That's
a stud move, no doubt. And he got re-signed in Chicago, didn't he already?
Yeah,
I thought so.
my dad was kind of mad about that. He goes, "Why the fuck didn't we go get him? Imagine him on the other side of Crosby. That fucking defense line would be unstoppable.
Well, would they have to get up to get him?
Third round fucking pick.
Is that
dude.
it?
But they had to re-sign him.
Sure. But you have the cap, right?
Yeah,
We would have. I think we could have.
All right.
Especially if,
That's a
Garoppolo's coming off
premium
the Bucs.
position, dude. Swing for the fences at the end. I don't
fucking
disagree. I don't disagree with your pops.
Welcome back to Balls and Brews award segment. Cheers, boys.
Go.
Oh,
And this is like the 4th pod in a row that we're about to rock a Lost
Oh,
Coast.
dude, it smells nice.
Well, since you brought it up, that's another thing. Skunk beers, like, I think some of them are alright, but I just that smell
Sucks.
I can't.
What he is referring to, for those of you who don't know what a skunk smell is, it's basically that over hoppy, that true IPA, that like danky. Oh shit! Like smells like cap is.
Tonight, though, we're drinking, or not tonight. Today, we're drinking another Lost Coast called Great White.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Eureka, California. Drinks at 4.8. Just a nice. They pitch it as a white ale.
Yeah.
So it is basically, essentially, you're gonna a la a Blue Moon for those who are needing a flavor profile. It's got a little zestiness, a little oranginess to it.
Easy
But
drink.
light and crisp.
Super
easy
easy,
drink.
crisp. I love that word for it. It's a
That's
great,
a great
word for
word.
it. Yep, it's very crisp. Even though it doesn't necessarily carry a lot of head, it does have a nice mouthfeel. So, shout out as always to Lost Coast. I do love that we're kind of just carrying the flag. We didn't drink them for for like the first 30 some odd, and then now we're on a run. But
Do they not have some of the coolest fucking labels too? Like this dude is a shark, badass looking dude. He's holding a surfboard
And a beer.
and he's got a brewski in his hand.
yeah, man, he's living the dream.
Like, and then the fucking Downtown Brown label was pretty sweet. The hazy we had last week, the Skull, that was pretty cool. And then they have the double IPA,
The Ghost Rider.
yes, dude,
Wow.
and it's like the dude on the bike, dude.
It's a skeleton figure with
yeah,
like
yeah.
flames coming out of his eyeballs. That one's pretty good too.
You may have to have that on the next pod.
I don't know, man. Well, you're not necessarily a double IPA guy, though.
Might have to do it just for the Lost Coast love.
I did. Shout out to Pinion. We talked about this a little earlier. I pulled some 16-ounces that we might, start dipping into.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a flight pod.
A flight
pod.
We
do need to do a flight pod. That'd
flight pod.
You know what else would be sweet is this next conversation.
What you got?
Let's go through the big awards. We're going to name the Balls and Brews Awards. See if there's some arguments, but we're all going to come to a consensus. There will be one.
I think that there's going to be a lot of agreement, which is fine because at some point there will be debate. But I think that some of these are pretty straightforward, to be fair, and you'd be just arguing for the sake of argument if you didn't really go with the true canon. Anyway, continue. Let's go. What are we leading with?
Let's start with comeback player of the year. The two I wrote down were Flacco and Hamlin. Does anybody else have anybody else to add to said argument or debate?
I think Hamlin's the nicer story, but I think Flacco is the guy. The whole. I know the Browns are on their fourth quarterback, but he's been better than their second quarterback.
He's been better than
it was a great signing. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. You can.
No, absolutely. Statistics 100% have shown you that Joe Flacco works in that system, but then better than Deshaun Watson does, better than Deshaun Watson within 5 games. Like
can you give it to him for 5?
No. Well, but can you give it to Hamlin for? I know that I know what he went through. I know what he went through. He's played 3 plays the entire season. It's insane that he's even been active on a football team considering what happened to him, but it's not. I want my comeback player of the year to be impactful to the year.
Yes.
Damar Hamlin, I respect you. You're an amazing human. Your struggle and what you went through to get back to where you're at is fucking incredible, but it doesn't necessarily change the flow of the season. If they didn't pick up Flacco, the Browns would have been drowning. And they are now not only in the playoffs, there are, oh my God, I'm hearing all these hype pieces about what if he takes him to the Super Bowl. Like, this is legitimately becoming an argument because Kansas City is down, and the last time the Ravens were a 1 seed, they fucking stumbled, so nobody has any faith in them to go deep in the playoffs. I'm sidebarring hard.
So everybody for Flacco?
Everybody for Flacco.
Okay, Flacco's comeback, Balls and Brews' comeback player of the year.
It's Joe Flacco. We're calling it now for sure.
Let's go into the second one, which was another hard one. We had kind of look up defensive rookie of the year. Nobody's made an extreme splash. 2 names I wrote down were Jalen Carter for the Eagles and Kobe Turner for the Rams.
I mean, Carter's the favorite, but I really like Turner here. He being a later round pick. The Rams have really nailed it in this last draft with players,
which is insane because they did have like 10 or 12 picks, and people thought they were insane because they still haven't had a first rounder. They started picking in the 3rd round, but they still had like 12 draft picks. So these are all later round guys.
Dude, they had like 4 or 5? Are they like 3 third rounds this year?
Yeah, and 3 4th rounders, 4 5th rounders. Like they were stacked in the back end of the draft.
Built a team. So. What about Will Anderson? Will Anderson was another name I saw. Does anybody want to?
Well, I just want to throw his name out there. He definitely, if you're going to put out nominations, should be looked at. Like he's had a solid year. I would say, obviously, with the Eagles being the marquee team, I've watched more Eagles games than Houston games.
Rams.
I'm speaking on Will Anderson. Yeah. So, you're good. And so I have seen more flashes from Jalen Carter, which is why he's probably going to get the award. Because when he is on, dude, he makes offensive guards look silly. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's a kid. He's just blossoming into what could be absolutely insane. And Will Anderson's a man amongst boys as well, don't get me wrong. And he's a lot more versed in the pass coverage-esque, which I can appreciate. He can drop back and he can kind of play that off ball even as a defensive end. So adding that to your game can be huge because Carter doesn't have that at all. He's just a stuffer. But his athleticism is bonkers.
Seems like every time I turned on an Eagles game, Jalen Carter's name.
He makes at least one play. And not every member of that team can say that.
No. So I really want to say my vote would be for Kobe, but I think that Jalen Carter's just been better. So for Jalen Carter, raise hands. Okay, so all three for Carter. You didn't have to agree, Trev. You didn't have to.
I mean, if it was going to be a 2 against 1, I'm not going to fight it. He has had.
You're not going to die on that hill.
Yeah, that's not the hill I want to die on.
Wow.
Okay, number 3 award to hand out is the Offense Player of the Year.
Offensive Rookie
of the Year. I think that it's only between 2 dudes, and each dude is, you could argue them for days. CJ Stroud and Puka Nacua. I think that it ends up going to CJ because he's a quarterback, but damn, Puka had a fucking year.
If it was any other year, it's a runaway train for Puka Nacua. Like, what he did this year was insane, especially just...
Let's get a cheers for Puka because...
I mean, overall, like, I don't like the Rams, but I'll cheers to his story, and I'll cheers to, you know, that's fucking legit. He came out of nowhere and lit it up this year.
But then all in agreement for...
It's got to be CJ just because of what... Dude, he's had a really, really good year.
He has changed... the culture of that franchise. They won 11 games over the last 3 years. They're competing for their division title tomorrow. Like, that is fucking amazing. They were supposed to be still even only a 5, 6, 7 win team. Yep. They're pushing for 9. And they've beaten some good teams. They've faltered here and you know, but that's young. But that's why we'll get into an award next.
One up.
Yeah.
So let's start with what just Chuck was saying. So you got Shane Steichen versus D'Amico tomorrow.
So we're gonna do Coach of the Year. Then
Coach of the Year. Sorry, you got Coach of the Year. Yeah. So you got D'Amico and Shane Steichen. So whoever wins that should be above that person.
I think pause real quick because we need to go back and we didn't necessarily finish the offensive rookie. We were talking about it. We're giving it to Stroud though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Balls and Brews is noting CJ Stroud as the
offensive rookie. Sorry, Charlie.
I just want to make sure that we're clear cut because we were talking up Puka. We drank to him, you know, but I just want you to know that we are going Stroud. It is the better and safer of the pick. His quarterbacks are, you know, overly valued. But the point I was making was that he changed that culture so much quicker than anybody thought he could.
That's added value. That's why I give it to that guy.
Yeah.
Huge value. Insane. Unmarketable value, right? Like, you don't know what the growth potential of a quarterback that young and that good is.
But bring it back to coaching, Z.
Yeah, so Coach of the Year, I think that, let's start with, you got... obviously D'Amico versus Shane Steichen on Sunday. I think whoever wins that obviously should be one up in the coach because they're going to take their team to the playoff. But then you also have Sean McVay, who everybody thought the Rams were going to suck, and then Kevin Stefanski.
I thought he was going to retire.
So is there anybody else you guys want to throw in there other than those 4?
I think that's a good group. I think Stefanski gets a lot of love because of all the quarterbacks that they've gone through. But like I just said, I think Flacco has been their best quarterback. So I don't feel like – I think that gets overplayed that he's their 4th quarterback. I know they had to go through that table of all of them. But if the Texans make the playoffs, man, I like Brian's. Is that a little
bit of that Niner love too?
Well, maybe, but it's just the contrast. Like coming into the season, the Browns were expected to be good. We didn't know how good. It was still hard to make the playoffs in that division for sure. He has definitely done a great job this year, but nobody had the Texans on the radar. And if they pull this off,
you also opened up a point to me that you know what who we didn't mention, and this is crazy because they hung their division winning. They won their division for the first time in 30 years as Dan Campbell in Detroit, and nobody's saying that because they were supposed to be good, right? But the Chargers were supposed to be good, and Brandon Staley got fucking fired. So I think that Dan Campbell really needs to be looked at under a very specific lens. I think he has taken a Detroit team that not any other coach in our lifetime has been able to do this. Like, what's his nuts got close with Calvin Johnson and Matt Stafford in their heyday. What was his name? God, he was there forever. Jim Caldwell.
Yep,
yeah, he had some good years, but he wasn't Dan Campbell. We're seeing something different in Detroit, and I think that he needs to be recognized for that. I really do. And keep playing up, kid.
That's a good call, Charlie. I'm going to vote for my vote's going to Sean McVay. what everybody had them as like a 4 or 5 win team, and now they're like already like basically in the playoffs. I don't even think they have to win this weekend. Go from like a 4 or 5 win team, just like with D'Amico, Ryan's in the Texans. I really think Sean McVay should be getting the vote too.
I think so.
And I
don't
think
know.
that my one argument against Stefanski is that
That's
that
where
team was
that's where I
supposed to be
fall.
good.
Right, no, but that's literally where I fall. I'm sorry. I'm the exact opposite take of you, Trevor. I'm Stefanski because of the adversity, specifically at the hardest position in football. I know the roster around that has been very good.
So all three of us have different.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna. I don't know how we're gonna come to one conclusive. We might just have to call this one a draw.
I would
gotta pick somebody.
I would move my vote to Stefanski over
McVay because
if I had to take one.
I do like the Ryan's take. I just think Stefanski is
my only thing. Chuck, my only thing with the Ryan take is if Shane Steichen wins, he also has had one with a backup quarterback too, so he could almost say that Steichen and Ryan could both. Whoever wins that game gets coach of the year.
So you don't want to necessarily make that distinction before that matchup.
Because you could make
We're
the
a week early there.
Yeah.
Who do you think's gonna win?
I think.
Put your nuts out there.
I think I don't know. I think the Texans maybe get the dub, but it's hard to say.
Well, yeah, they absolutely maybe could. It's a 50-50 right now.
It's 0-0. It's hard to say because even Shane's. I mean, dude, what they've done with not their starting quarterback in first year there when they sucked bad last year.
Yes, and I think the Texans are going to pull it out. That's why I picked him, but I understand the other coaches. All of these coaches have been great this season. Stefanski, I can't be mad at. Even McVay, I can't be mad at. Like, both of these guys are worthy of the award.
It's clear that this is really the first one where we've, debate has come in. They could go any which way.
So how do you
laugh it up?
How do you define the coach of the year? Is it because you won with the team that you weren't like a team that everybody thought was like a 4-win team? Because Stefanski also won with a team that everybody that I was like, man, they could win the division if Deshaun balls out.
Right,
Deshaun
but he
ball out.
And then DTR didn't ball out, and then they started PJ Walker, and now they're on Flacco.
Right.
You're talking about things that we've never seen done in the NFL.
I think the award should go to the one that overcomes adversity the
Exactly.
most.
Adversity
and both of those
is the
guys
big
have
key.
in different ways. I mean, all those guys have really
Right,
in
absolutely.
different ways.
They all came into different situations that weren't positives in a lot of different ways. Outside of Stefanski did come into a positive situation, but it fell off, and he was able to carry it. That's why I think his story, it's the comeback. We love the redemption arc, right?
Stefanski.
That's Stefanski for me.
I guess that's our guy.
Okay. Good job, Stefanski. Way to get the dub.
I mean,
He's the balls and brews coach.
A lot of other teams / coaches / staffs would have fallen apart after. We got to start a fourth guy that we're just pulling off the couch who's probably fucking eating chips and playing fantasy football 20 minutes ago.
So this next one.
Shout out though to Joe. That's fucking impressive.
I'm not necessarily going to budge on this, but I'll probably end up having
We're
to.
not budging.
Defensive player of the year. I will stand on a hill and I will shout from every hilltop that I can that Max Crosby should be in this conversation and win this conversation, and also should be in the MVP conversation as well. And I will shout from every hilltop that I can. He's my boy.
You got that Max boner.
He's my boy, dude. He's the only dude on that team that maybe I'd put on a jersey because I think that he's gonna stay. The other, he is
that Howie Long?
Dude, he's the dude. He is the dude.
He is
Everybody
him.
sees it.
He is him.
The other dude is obviously Myles Garrett. Numbers are basically very similar in every category. One's got more pressures. Myles Garrett's got a half sack more. That all depends on if I don't even know if Garrett's playing this weekend. Crosby is playing this weekend. Maybe he get. So the numbers are super close, right? So and they both I think have had massive impacts on each team.
Oh yeah, they're the guy in both of those defenses. The first number one guy you think of.
I think they're also one of the number one guys in the locker room as well.
Yes, readers for those defenses as well.
Except for Myles Garrett kind of has a sketchy past. Swinging helmets on the field.
I can't throw that.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck?
I'm not gonna. It doesn't matter for this year. I think it's funny. Max Crosby is an absolute animal. Watching him play football is a gift. it just, even if you don't like the Raiders, it's hard not to pull for that dude, given his story, where he's at, how he's had to struggle to get to, you know, this part of his career. And he's actually, even though he's a beast, he's actually rather humble in a lot of these interviews. So I love that aspect of him, and I can't stand Myles Garrett on the personality side, but as far as like play on the field, he is the game wrecker this year. He is the one guy you have to account for on every fucking play, and not only in the run game. He's been knocking passes down, he's been picking balls off, he's been forcing fumbles, he's been sacking the quarterback. He does fucking everything.
I agree with all that, but Crosby's
one of the number one defensive end.
I think that's how it works. I'm not raising my hand, but you know, if I got outvoted, that you can shift the power just that way.
So balls and brews. Defensive player of the year is Max Crosby.
Yeah, I guess we can be wrong on one. We can make a homer pick, I suppose. If you like being wrong, Trev, that's fine. But who cares? It's not about getting it right. It's about what we think.
Yes.
These are our awards, and you too. And I don't disagree with the fact that Max Crosby is a game changer. He's a locker room guy. He's a motivator. He
spit all over Myles Garrett, and
motor,
you're like,
his motor never stops. No, I'm just trying to say that I understand, even if it is a homer pick, that there is some validity behind it. It's not just blowing smoke.
Yeah, he's one of the best run stopping defensive ends. He's also plays almost every snap.
He is 150% all the time.
We all understand Myles Garrett is that guy, but Max Crosby is also that guy.
He's got that dog in him.
Yeah,
got that dog.
Every play, you love to see that.
Agreed. Yes. And you don't have to bait it out of him. He gives you that.
So going into the sixth award, Offensive Player of the Year.
Ooh, this one's good. I like this one.
I wrote down two names only.
I got two.
Okay.
There was CMC and Tyreek.
Me too.
I want to argue for both. I also only have one of them in my MVP talk. I think that when each of them misses games, you see the effect on the field of both teams. It's easy peasy. It just matters what effect, I guess, is more and who had the better year. I think the Offensive Player of the Year is Tyreek Hill, and my first vote for MVP would be CMC. So that's where I lie, and I just threw that out because there's a difference in Offensive Player of the Year and MVP. The MVP has to have a valuable in the middle of it. I wrote down a ton of other names for MVP. We'll get in that later. But I think Tyreek Hill is the thing that makes the Dolphins a Corvette. If the Dolphins don't have Tyreek Hill, they are a fucking Corolla.
Sturdy, reliable, 300,000 miles.
But can't get it done in a race.
I'm going to also argue the contrarian on this as well. I know Lamar is the favorite for MVP. I believe both of us picked him at the beginning of the year to win that award.
Great job, Buck.
It's looking good.
I know we should have bet that one.
Yeah.
But
made us some cheddar.
I think, we're not there yet, but he's not my guy for MVP. He isn't.
He's the one that I've written now.
So I would consider him for Offensive Player of the Year, but I also like Tyreek there because it just makes so much sense. I think that I actually agree that I think that should be the Offensive Player of the Year this year.
I will raise my hand on that one. That's the one I have written down, and I've been a CMC fan for when he was coming out of Stanford, and I thought he had some great years in the Panthers. Obviously, he had the 1,000 year, and that's what got him, the contract, and then good for him for getting off a shit ass team to go to a contender, so that's a huge plus. But Tyreek Hill is just. You didn't know what was going to happen when he was on the field. At any play, you could double team him. You could have the coverages. He's blowing right by somebody. Yeah, he's going for. He had so many deep touchdowns, so many plays that changed the course of those Miami games, all for the positive. He had a couple of boo-boo plays, but I think I vote Hill on this one as well.
So Tyreek
Hill, good job, buddy.
Yeah, bro, he absolutely killed this year. And he was hurt one game, and he still leads the NFL in yardage.
Caught him on that 2,000 yard.
He was trying. He's going to go for it next year. He's going to know that it's possible. He's going to know that it's possible. After this year, he'll put up like maybe 1850, maybe 19. He'll be right on the doorstep, and that will just fuel the fire for next year.
Hope so.
So number 7 of our Balls and Brews awards is
the biggie. The biggie.
I wrote down 4 names.
Silver tuna.
4 names.
I wrote down CMC.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Josh Allen.
Okay.
And Matt Stafford.
I hear those names.
You're on a momentum tip, not an overall.
Right. And
I'm not giving that MVP anywhere near to Josh Allen this season.
I know you're not.
I can't. I can't. He had some terrible fucking games in the middle of the season. Terrible. Not bad, bro. Terrible.
Still can be an MVP candidate.
Wrong.
I mean, he scores a lot of touchdowns. He makes up for those turnovers and points.
He leads the league in 42.
He does. He gets more touchdowns than anybody. That's big. That is so big. It's
a good point. It's
such a great thing to have in that bag where you have that confidence.
I don't think I just wrote him down as one of the 4. I didn't think he should win it, but I do think that he should be mentioned, and I also think Stafford should be mentioned. I don't think Stafford gets any mention. CJ should probably be mentioned as well. But
he wouldn't have missed those games.
But I think that there's some guys.
He was on the outside of that conversation before he got hurt. Yeah.
Yep, and I think that everybody was Dak, and I think that Dak has taken a very hard left turn as of late. I can't really put him up in the conversation. Jalen has had an awful last 4 or 5 games.
Oh, since you're talking about Dak, though, just got to dip into CD Lamb real quick. Leading all receivers, he could have been offensive. He could be
one of those guys up there. I don't think he wins it, but he definitely. I like that call.
He could be in a suit and tie. He was a huge difference maker for the Cowboys this year.
He finally has become the number 1. Last year he was not. This year he became the number 1. Last year he still kind of was like.
He was a 1.5.
Yeah. So, Chuck, who you arguing for?
The MVP?
Yeah.
It's the media narrative on this one for me, too. It's Lamar. I think that given what he has been able to do with building new connections with those receivers and playing without Mark Andrews, playing without several, J.K. Dobbins popped his ACL. They've had backs in and out throughout the whole year. Now that defense, it's a great formula. It's always great when you have a wonderful defense. And if you look at, he doesn't necessarily have the touchdowns as far as throwing touchdowns to back the guaranteed MVP, but he also has almost 1,000 yards on the ground, and he doesn't have a lot of fumbles. He's got 7 or 8 touchdowns on the ground. It's just Lamar's. He's doing it, and he's going to be the one that all the eyeballs are on. He hasn't had the reason why I can't do Allen is because he's had 3 or 4 games where he was the reason why they lost those games. That is not a valuable player to me. No matter when he makes it up and he pads the stats on the back end of the season, and yes, their momentum is through the roof right now. That's the AFC team you don't want to see in the wild card, right? I think we can all pretty much kind of levy that out right now. But you can't. It's a season-long award. It has to matter that for almost a quarter of the year, he was the reason why they were losing games. And that hasn't happened in Baltimore. Lamar hasn't made those dummy plays. If anything, he's made the electric plays when need be. So they did have a couple of rough losses to some divisional opponents, but I just think you got to give it to Lamar overall because obviously Purdy took a step back and Dak obviously took a step back. And CMC, God, I wanted to be on that train big time, but I feel like he's kind of tapered off, right?
I'll hop on that train.
I'm on the train.
67 catches, no drops.
Trev, I'm driving the train.
Train it up.
I'm driving the fucking
He's conducting the train.
Lamar's been great, but I don't think you give it to him just because he's been on the best team for this year.
I want to break that fucking narrative.
Yeah, me too. CMC is my guy. I can't.
He's a beast.
God damn.
He's a beast. Does it all.
Big beast. Over 2,000 yards all total.
And with a smile on his face. That's the best part. Is he's just got this fucking great attitude.
Dude, and he is the last of the Marshall Faulk, LaDainian Tomlinson type backs where he's catching, like Trev said, 67 catches, no drops. Dude has going up the middle, on the sweeps, every which way. He's running he's running routes over the middle.
Does it all.
He's
everything.
That's true, because if you were making a tier list of running backs and their capabilities, he's God, right? And then there's I was gonna say there's you probably skip a whole tier before you get to the next tiers.
Nobody made the jump. Kamara has fell off to the.
He had a rough year.
Dalvin Cook was nowhere to be seen.
He's signing with the Ravens. Speaking of which,
that's a good point. Also, like Breece Hall had an okay year.
No, he didn't.
But not. I mean, he was okay, but he was on a bad team.
If the team was better, that could have been a lot better.
Right,
absolutely.
Cook's brother had a pretty good year
at the end of the year. Started off.
Go Brady.
Yeah, Joe Brady really changed that. He should be up for some type of award as a best
assistant, offensive coordinator.
I don't think I think he's too soon on that.
But you just see it though, the difference from him.
But he's been fired in other places.
You don't think a team takes a chance on that?
No, I think he stays. I think he's probably the offense coordinator next year.
Probably.
My vote's CMC. I understand the Lamar stuff. I just think
I'm gonna get outvoted on this one too.
CMC, my boy.
I just think that what he brings to the table is
he literally adds that value to that team for the way that they run that scheme. I get it. I won't sit here and necessarily say that is a bad choice. We all know that that's not what's going to happen, which is unfortunate because it should be.
What's going to happen.
This is our part, right? Yeah, and in the sphere of valuable, CMC is invaluable to that Niners offense. You see it. And the eye test is so easily passed with Christian McCaffrey. It's ridiculous.
And we didn't even talk about like how Kyle Shannon's not even in like the Coach of the Year type talks, dude. The way that offense and CMC fits Kyle's offense to like the almost perfect of the T of what can be with a Debo and a Brandon Ayuk. You have two weapons that are one's a running back and one's a receiver, but they both can do other things.
You better get this year because them rent checks are going to come due, baby. That roster is not going to be able to hold much longer. Like you have guys who are going to want to get paid soon. Like Ayuk is done after this year. We're all on the same level there. There's no way you can extend him to the amount that he could get if he hits the open market because you've already paid Devo, you're paying Kittle, you're paying Williams. You have to make room for Purdy if you believe he's the guy.
You might be looking at like a Polk or something at the end of the first round if you don't get
dude, that would shit my pants if they pulled that off. That would be fucking impressive.
But think about Polk.
That'd be a hell of a move.
But think about Polk and Ayuk, like tall, kind of lanky dudes, down the field kind of guys. That's exactly like if really Ayuk leaves, Niners are going to be at the end of the draft. That's like exactly where we were talking about Polk going. If that like somehow worked out, I know that the Chiefs probably need to be taking a fucking.
Well, yeah, because you have to consider if you're gonna ride the current regime, it's the Brock Purdy regime, which means you are going to have to pay him after next year because he doesn't have a fifth-year option.
Leeway. And I want to keep Ayuk, but I understand that he could become a cap casualty. Pieces would have to be moved to make that work. What those pieces are, it's hard to say.
Right, and I don't think you sacrifice the meat of the team because you're going to have to get rid of so it's not just skilled positions, but guys that really mean a whole lot. Your depth,
there's going to be names
offensive line or defensive line.
Yeah, well, Trent Williams could be nearing the end as well.
Yeah, he could be retired.
We could be looking at a tackle in the first round as well if he's going to call it quits. I mean, hopefully, he retires on top, and that's where we go tackle, and then we worry about that Ayuk thing later.
So let's get back to MVP talk. Are we
Super Bowl
going CMC?
Yeah,
Trev?
I'm getting outvoted.
CMC, baby.
Getting outvoted, everybody.
Hey, I'm sorry Seattle doesn't have any players in this discussion.
Not even close. Not even
I think that, so let's review them real quick.
Hey, I think if Kenny Walker keeps working on his game and we can provide him
healthy,
Kenny, huh?
Dude, Ken Walker is a stud.
Dude, he's a stud, but really I agree with you. But both those backs can both be
Sharp's
legit,
a bowling ball, bro. I love watching him.
You gotta give me more games. You gotta give me more games. If we're playing 17, you gotta give me 15.
Yeah, I think Kenny only. Well, yeah, he had an oblique that I think he missed 3 or 4, and then Sharp had a knee that missed like 3 or 4.
Right.
So.
Definitely could be one of the more dynamic backfields going forward, though.
That was the game plan. You can tell for sure. So
let's roll through what we went through. Comeback player of the year was a pretty easy vote with Flacco. Defensive rookie of the year vote, we were bouncing back and forth between Jalen Carter and Kobe Turner. Will Anderson vote went to Carter. Offensive rookie of the year, Puka made a nice little run, but it was a pretty easy CJ Stroud vote. For coach of the year, we all had different things, but we went with McVay, Savansky, and then Ryan, and then we came back to Stefanski after a long, heated conversation.
He did. So,
and then with defensive player, another long conversation between Crosby and Garrett, with Crosby coming out on top. Offensive player of the year, all three voted on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
On that, we had other people that were named. CD Lamb and CMC were in that convo as well.
Yeah.
And then with MVP, it was a CMC / Lamar kind of taking, and CMC outvotes Lamar to win the Balls and Brews most valuable player of the year.
And like I said before, even though I was
first
outvoted,
annual.
That's
First
right.
annual.
We coming with it every year. But that one's so I would love it if they buck the trend. If they give it to CMC but he's resting this week, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so
a lot of players on both sides resting.
Right.
Yeah, because the numbers aren't really.
That unfortunately diminishes his chances. But also Lamar is resting as well. Correct. So you got to kind of just go off of what you're already looking at.
Right. I think that most of the board should almost be taken care of, other than coach of the year. I think that we talked about. If you could argue that Ryan and Steichen, whoever gets their team in the playoffs, could overtake. I think that's maybe the only other one. The only other one, maybe I don't know if Garrett's playing this week, but maybe Crosby's numbers climb a little bit if Garrett's not playing. That would be maybe the only other number. Maybe a couple more sacks. But other than that, I think that almost all awards should be probably wrapped up before this weekend.
They are for sure. The coach of the year is the only one that could still technically swing.
Right. Do we want to take a break and get another brew, or we want to jump right in?
I do want to take a break and take a potty break, right?
All right, so let's take a break.
So we're going to come back.
That's work to do.
With common sense and fandom, and after potty breaks, don't take your headphones off.
We're talking about potty breaks.
We're talking about potty breaks. Yeah.
Welcome back to Balls and Brews. Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Let's jump right into common sense. There's been Aaron Rodgers been on Pat McAfee and talked about how the NFL is rigged with the Super Bowl because the Super Bowl colors are the Ravens and Niners colors. For one, that's fucking ridiculous.
Very aesthetically pleasing.
Very ridiculous. Chuck, why don't you touch on what the other colors were in the other years?
Well, yeah, just going back 2 years ago, it was the Rams and the Bengals, and it was orange and yellow. And then it was the Chiefs and the Eagles, and it was red and green. And
coincidence?
Yeah.
How many teams have fucking red and green in them?
I know, sure. Plenty. I agree. No, it's a ridiculous reach for a guy because he has to find.
Can we put a block on Aaron Rodgers? Block, bam! You can't talk no more.
I just think it should be like, yeah, dude, you're just not playing this year, so go ahead and just stay out of the fucking. Why are you doing this, Aaron Rodgers?
Well, it's because he's not playing and he wants.
He needs to stay in.
Yeah, he wants that.
Do you think in any way, shape, or form the NFL could ever be fully rigged?
No.
There's way too much money already involved to.
There's so many moving parts.
Injuries and people play. No way.
And then you got to keep, everybody hush afterwards. Like, there have been the jokes,
Like, a setup for a certain game or matchup, maybe.
That they would lean to see, they'd rather see such and such team.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, how can you do that? There's so many variables, so many unpredictable variables. You cannot. Oh man, the action in the NFL happens so quickly.
I cannot wait to not hear about Aaron Rodgers too. Like Heem and Draymond, dude, they're on my shit list. If we want to add them to the Bars and Brews one, we can, dude. I fucking care less. Dude. I'm tired of hearing.
I could put Aaron Rodgers on my shit list. I'm
tired
fine with
of
that. He's a shit lister, and Draymond's been on my shit list for those. That's 2 for 2 for me.
Trev just can't quite.
I'm not quite there.
On either.
No, I could get there on Draymond, no problem. It's personal, but for Rodgers, like I still appreciate the player enough that I haven't dove in deep to all. The people that are complaining about him, like okay, but you could just not listen to him.
Change your dial.
Yeah,
you ain't gotta listen.
That's how I see it.
That's fair. That's fair.
So let's jump into fandom. Fandom Monday. It's kind of not a great fandom actually. It's a good fandom, but it's like a down, like kind of like emotional, like they call it's like Coach's Black Monday for all the coaches that are getting fired. We already know Raiders, Panthers, and Chargers don't have coaches. We talked pretty heavily about the Raiders hired Antonio Pierce a couple of episodes ago. So after Raiders, Panthers, Chargers.
What are the Chargers going to do?
Jim Harbaugh? Hopefully Jim Harbaugh. Or Ben Johnson.
I mean, that's the popular talk, but Spanos? The Chargers.
Spanos.
Yeah. They give me serious doubts about making that kind of hire.
I agree. They're terrible. The Charger.
And then I think Commanders, Pats.
Oh, yeah.
Saints?
I can't believe I was championing Bill Belichick earlier in this year. I was like, "There's no way." You want to talk about eating a turd sandwich? That's when I got to take a big old fat L.
I'll take a fucking. I'll do the 3 where you turn around and walk away.
Hand the cookie jar.
Back to the bench. Shimmy back to the bench.
It was a little ridiculous.
Saints.
Too.
Saints?
They need
I think they should.
That up. Oh, you had them in the Super Bowl. You should be standing on this period.
Well, I think that I didn't realize that offensive line was so bad, and the coaching. I thought they'd win that division easy, but the Bucks also played above and beyond what they should have done.
Shout out to Baker.
But Carr obviously played below what he did, but Dennis Allen, I think, was awful. I think they need to shake up. That offensive line didn't play very good either. Kamara had a down year, even Jamal Williams even had a down year. We were like, dude, that's going to fucking pop. We thought that run game was going to be electric. Nothing.
No pop.
Falcons?
It seems like another waste of talent. Like
Arthur Smith is not the dude. But now here's the thing: if you let him go, you gotta have an answer. Who do you get? Who's gonna take that job? Who is listen to the teams like
Ben Johnson.
There's only but how many teams can he go to? One. He's got to choose one. How many coaches are there behind him? You got to name at least 3 to 4 solid. If you're talking 3 to 4 teams are looking.
That's what we should be doing right now, though, is talking about those guys, those coaches that we think are going to be in play for these teams right now.
Do we think Bieniemy did enough in Washington to get that job? I haven't heard any of that.
I think that the only team that Bieniemy could go to would be the Panthers, because nobody wants a coach for David Tepper, and that he wants a coaching job so bad that he would be the one to take that job because of that reason.
It's not a very appealing job.
But yeah, that's why though. And if no one else is going to give him that chance, he might be the guy that's left, because those other guys. I mean, I could see Carolina offering Harbaugh everything, the money, control.
He's not going there.
But
not a shot.
It's still an unappealing place to probably be the head coach of.
Another coach that's going to be in the running, defensive coordinator for the Bengals, who's done an amazing job. I think he's up for being a coach. But there's always sneaky guys that we don't even know about. Vrabel for the Titans wants out, I've heard. So Vrabel could be a hot name for like a Patriots team or any team. Vrabel, I think, is a very good coach.
How long is his contract remaining for? Do we know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
That'd be tough then. If you want to, you signed the contract, but
and then do the Cowboys get rid of McCarthy? Or there's always that talk in Cowboy land.
There is, but that just
I think he's done a really good job.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn's another head coaching name.
McCarthy. Dan Quinn's a hot name for sure.
They lost Kellen Moore, and they didn't necessarily skip. CeeDee Lamb got better.
And Kellen Moore kind of had a down low. I thought Kellen Moore and the Chargers were going to do great, and it did not.
Dude, LA crashed and burned so
Maybe Kellen Moore
hard.
takes the Boise State job instead.
Probably. No, I could definitely see that.
And not even like just takes himself out of the NFL and goes to Boise State and be a head coach there forever.
Runs that program till he wants to retire.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, you make enough money in the college programs.
Dude, and he would be monster in the transfer portal. I bet you he could recruit like a beast, like to a city like Boise State. Like, look what I did, bro. You can make it. We can do it. Let's go. And you play for Boise State on that blue ass field.
You brought it up earlier there. Ben Johnson, he's going to be a top candidate for a lot of these positions as well. Did you see like? Is there another name that we're forgetting?
Mike LaFleur, offensive coordinator, brother of Matt LaFleur, offensive coordinator for the Rams. You never know. People like to dip that tree depending on interviews.
I think I'd rather go for someone like Brady though, that you've seen that instant difference in the team over someone like him.
Brady
just because he's from
because we don't have anybody coming up from the college ranks other than potentially Harbaugh, right?
Yeah,
and he's heavily linked to the Chargers right now.
Unless Ryan Day's going to try to make the jump, nobody else is. I don't
know if anybody's going to want Ryan Day necessarily. You couldn't even beat your chief rival. That's all that matters in college. If you're Ohio State, who do you beat?
Well, nobody.
Michigan, nobody.
Bears are an interesting conversation.
Yes.
Has Eberflus saved his job? And does Eberflus? I thought I've paired this that Eberflus stays, Field stays, Eberflus goes, Field goes. Is that still the feeling, or do you guys think one stays, one goes? Or it's such a huge combo there, quarterback / coach. Reset the market, or do you keep rolling and just try to put more stuff around?
I've heard it on both sides.
It really is.
But I think if they both go or neither one does, because
that's what I think too.
It's just the way it progressed. Yeah, I thought it was going to happen the other way, but they started slow, but they've come on. And if you can kind of carry that momentum, you can keep that team going. It seems like they finally started figuring things out. Then you don't want to bust it up. But if you have that thought that you don't want this, you're ready for something new, then it's a fresh start completely. Both sides.
It's depending on where they can wiggle to and who they can get to come in to coach, what quarterback prospect they can land. Like, there's a lot of things that gotta go right for this instant rebuild to happen, right? Because in theory, you're within striking distance of it. But if you're gonna fire Eberflus, who are you gonna get? Are you gonna get one of those prime guys? Are you gonna get? What if you talk Harbaugh to come to Chicago instead of LA?
No, him and Harbaugh and the new president of the Bears. He was the old Big Ten dude. They hate each other. Brian Flores is another name I just wrote down. Defense coordinator of the Vikes this year. He's another hot commodity defensive coordinator that could be coming out.
He flinged out pretty quick as his last head coach gig, if I remember
correctly.
That Arizona team was brutal, though. It wasn't necessarily his fault.
He was the Dolphins.
It was the Dolphins.
He had the weird stuff where he was suing because of discrimination.
Yeah,
you're right. Brady stuff going on. I kind of wanted Brian Flores to be my coach a couple years ago when we were looking. I thought he brought a nice intensity, and you just got to find the right offensive coordinator if you're going to do it.
It's funny. You're so funny because you pitch for the offensive-minded head coach, and then you ride for the defensive-minded. I
wanted Basaka.
Let's go.
I wanted Basaka, and then I was like, well, if you're not going to go Basaka, which it didn't look, I said, well, Brian Flores brings a nice intensity. Maybe we can get that. And then obviously this year I'm like in 50-50 fucking mode. Can't figure it out. So that's our coaching fandom. Keep your eye out. Monday is national title game.
Ooh, baby.
Sunday this week is
final week 18.
Lots of stuff.
That's it.
Lots of stuff's going to finish up. There's some definite wild cards up for position. There's one division up for position. Actually, two divisions up for position. What about the East? Is the Cowboys and Eagles up for position?
Yeah, yes. No, it's the AFC and the NFC East both have not been decided, nor is the AFC South or the NFC South.
Right. So
the
there's
South
4 divisions.
And the East. Correct.
4 divisions up for a Sunday. That's a big Sunday. You know, even if the games aren't touted matchups, it's a big Sunday. That's a lot I thought the division's still up for grabs. Also, keep your eye out for any of the hockey and NBA stuff that's happening. Seasons are in full swing at this point in time. Trade deadlines are coming. Lots of stuff happening in both those as well.
All right, so be sure to look at the X and Instagram for the beers that we had today. Delirium is definitely, that was good, and Great White. Anything from Lost Coast, shout out.
Yeah, for real. Look for Lost Coast anywhere you can find it. Also, that Delirium was delicious. 10% didn't taste like a 10%.
Our 4-teamers up on Instagram as well with the Seahawks.
Good luck.
With the Washington Huskies. We're going all Seattle this week, boys. I appreciate y'all backing me. But until Pod 43.
Yeah, check us out. Buzzsprout,
Spotify,
YouTube.
Excellent. Yeah, that's where we're at now.
X, Gram.
We do it for the gram.
Do it for the
We do it for the
gram.
gram.
Later, everybody.